Hello everyone, I'm home. Welcome back to my channel. I'm in big trouble. Just like the title says, I fell off the wagon this weekend. What did I do? Did I drink too much? Did I get high? Or did I thrift when I said I wouldn't? Oh my gosh, you guys will have to wait a little while for me to tell you what happened. But I wanted to clarify a few things from the last video. One was I was talking about this Liberace-like jacket, and I told you that whenever I find clothes like that in the free bin that are kind of funky, I said that I buy them. Of course, I meant when I find them in the free bin, they're free. I get them for our party that we have when we have our Christmas party with his family. And then I told you I was going to tell you about this vase that I saw and that I really liked and what I did. And I did. I went back to it 3 times and I kept telling myself, you don't need that candle. It was a candle holder and it was so beautiful. And it was only $1.99, so I went back and got it. So I brought it home and it's really pretty when it's lit up. It's just beautiful. And then I forgot to show you my wonderful meal I had at that Mexican restaurant when I went to that fancy Goodwill. It was El Rodeo, I think is how they say it. We have one that's pretty local to us and we like it. But this one, I'm telling you what, was the best tasting Mexican food I'd ever had. And I've been to a lot of Mexican restaurants. So I wanted to tell you guys about that. And then I didn't tell you the story about this vase. I saw this big lead crystal vase. It was so beautiful. And I passed on it because I've got a lot of vases. But I went to eat, and when I came back to the Goodwill because they put more carts out, some lady was at the checkout as I was walking in, and she had this vase, and I was real happy for her that she got it because it was a beautiful vase. I knew someone would pick it up real quick. So the other day, I'm taking another load to the thrift store, and I like to go into this thrift store. We call it the Trinity Mission. It's called Lost Then Found, and it's in a big brick building behind a couple of banks, and I think it's kind of tucked away to where people don't know about it. But today the parking lot was filled, and there was a big sign out front that said 50% off Saturday, and it was Saturday. So I go in and they had tons and tons of stuff like they always do, but tons of people, and I really had a hard time looking around. But they have a lot of stuff, and I saw this it's a print of a painting of the White House that was really pretty, and everything was half off, so it would have been a good deal. But look at this, guys. I passed on this. It was $15, but it would have been half off, and it was just the most beautiful old fruit print in an oval frame, and I thought about it. And I want to tell you guys, I'm so sorry about the static sometimes in my videos. And if I barely move my arm while I'm talking, it shows static on. You can hear it on here. And I think it's if I just turn my head. And they had this pretty old organ with this pretty pattern on it. I thought it was so beautiful. And it was $200, but it would have been a half off. But Jeffrey Kevin told me there's a program you can buy to take static out of your videos. And I've got to do that because I hear a lot of static when I'm sitting in my car doing voiceovers, and that's the way I like to do it because it's really quiet. They had a lot of pretty antique tables, a rocking chair, another little kind of like a gate leg table, an old wicker piece that's real Victorian. I know I've said this before, but I've got to manifest me a mansion so I can buy some of these bargains because I'm out of room. But I walked around and I had to really squeeze through there because there were so many people at this 50% off sale. And I found a lot of really cool things, but of course I didn't buy because I told you guys I was going to not buy so much, and I'm not. But I had to look because 50% off and their prices are pretty reasonable anyway. I found this cake stand that I already have, and my friend Marianne had it. It's an old one with a harp design on it, and it would have been half off, but I already have this cake stand, but I thought it was neat that I found it again. And I saw it recently in an antique store for $75, so that was really a good deal. Then I saw this pretty, I call these Venetian patterns. I don't know what it's really called, but it was a footed bowl with a really pretty silver leaf design that I think kind of looks filigree-like and kind of Venetian. I don't know if that's what they call it, but it was an old bowl. And they had a few pieces of pink depression glass, and it was cheap. It was $1.50 and $2 for a tray, so it would have been half off if you collected pink depression, which I don't. They had a lot of beautiful crystal. And I have a lot of beautiful crystal that I've thrifted, so I passed on it. But I wanted to show you guys all the beautiful things they had. And then this candy dish, oh my goodness, this thing really spoke to me. It was beautiful, and I think it was crystal as well. It had a beautiful finial on the top, and it could have been used for a little cake stand. It was so beautiful. And then I saw this cut glass bowl, and the reason I knew it was cut glass is because I ran my fingers around the edge and it felt like it was going to cut me. And they had a sticker on it from an antique store that said Lockelburr ? I looked it up and there's no such name as that for crystal, so I don't know what they were trying to say. But an antique store had it for $12 because it had a chip in it, and it did have a little chigger that was on one of the points, but with the sharpness of all the glass, it wasn't going to hurt anything. And they had it marked for $6 at the thrift store, and it was half off. So I was very happy to pay $3 for a cut glass bowl that was just beautiful, even though it had a little chigger on it. You can't even tell, and I'm real happy with it. This is my favorite part of bringing home anything glass. I love to soak it in some hot soapy water and get it all cleaned up. And when I did this one, I took a little bit of sandpaper and sanded that little chigger down, and you can't even feel it. It's not any big deal at all. But the pattern came out so beautiful. It had a lot of etched glass. Now, I'm not claiming to know a lot about pressed glass or cut glass, but I'm learning, and I've got some books on it. And the main thing I notice is just the feel of it, the look of it. If you run your fingers around all the little cut edges, they really do feel like they're going to cut you, even though they don't. You can ding them with your finger, and they have a nice little pretty ring. There's usually a lot of pretty colors dancing off of them. They're heavy. And a pressed glass piece will usually have a seam. Sometimes they're worn down to where you can't hardly see them. And both glasses, pressed or cut, will have little bubbles in them, and that's normal. That's just the way they were made. And then, I don't know, you can hear the little ding, and they're just pretty. You can just tell the difference in them. But I have some that are pressed glass that look like cut glass, so I don't really care. I just like them if they're pretty. A lot of people don't like clear glass, but I do. I just think it's beautiful. And then I have a friend and a sister-in-law that like this kind of thing, so I buy them for them. But then I bought this little bowl. It was only $3. So I believe it's pressed glass, but it's so sparkly and shiny. Once I got it home and cleaned it up, it looked just like cut glass, and it's really heavy and pretty. And so for $1.50, I was happy to get it. But as I walked through the store, I noticed people were buying a lot of clothes. All the clothes were 75 cents that day. And they were buying shoes and purses and things like that. A lot of people don't go for the things that I go for. So I had the glass aisle all to myself. So I picked this up, and when I saw it was $3, I thought, well, I'll give $1.50 for this pretty little bowl. And I brought it home, and I cleaned it all up, and it sparkles and shines. I always take a soft toothbrush and really get down in all those little grooves, and it's really pretty. I had a lot of fun. My husband was also in the store, and he kept having people come up to him that were his students at school, and they were going, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Johnson, and I heard him talking to different ones, and that happens a lot. And then I saw this little, I didn't buy this, but it was cute, a little porcelain piano, and it had a little hole in the front, and I don't know what it was for, but the lid opened, and I thought, you could put tissues in there, like put the box in there sideways and pull the tissues out the front. I don't really know what it was for, but it sure was pretty. And then I came down the Christmas aisle, and I saw this stack of the same kind of cake stands. And I don't think they were antique at all. I think they were probably Libby's from maybe the 70s or 80s. But they were so filthy dirty that they were gummy and gritty and dusty, and they felt like they had oil on them. And I just had to get a baby wipe out and clean my hand after touching them. They were so dirty. And they would have been fun to put in the sink and clean up. But they were so gross, I didn't even want to fool with it, even though they were half price. And I have so many cake stands. I don't have those, but they're not top quality. But, oh, man, were they dirty. And then they had this real pretty goblet that I liked. If they'd have had a set, I may have given that a little consideration because they were only $1. And then they had these cute little candle holders that I thought would go good with my red rooster dishes. But as you can see, they're flash painted and the paint was coming off. But they were only $1 for the whole set, so they'd been 50 cents, but the paint was too bad. And then I left there and I did stop at a couple Goodwills and donated some more stuff. I donated a lot of stuff this weekend and cleared out my sewing room and everything. Gave a lot of craft items away, and I saw this pretty bouquet in a little urn, and I got a discount that day, so it wasn't much at all, like $1.75. Brought it home and cleaned it up with my Febreze smelling stuff. And then I was looking at skirts. I know I've told you before, look at skirts for fabric, and this skirt was just beautiful. It had this beautiful floral and kind of a black filigree design pattern on it. It was really, really pretty. And I didn't have anything that I needed to make with that, but I pulled out a few skirts to show you guys how you can get really pretty fabric from skirts at the thrift stores. Then I saw this, and I didn't buy it, but a cute little crib, or like a cradle, probably from the 50s or 60s. It was pink. It was only $2.99. I saw this coaster. I've got so many coasters, I didn't buy it, but it had an orange rose on it. Then they had some big tarnished platters, and I did purchase those because they were like $1.99 a piece, and Goodwill usually wants $7 or $8 for a tarnished tray. And these were real heavy and tarnished to perfection. I love them. I don't shine these up. I just wipe them down and clean them, and I use them for everything. And this one had a really pretty pattern around the edge of all kinds of embossed fruit, and had a real pretty tarnished gold design. And then this was a huge tray that was not old. Probably came from TJ Maxx or Home Goods or someplace, but it was silver, and it had some embossing on it, and it was heavy, and it was really pretty. And you know how I like my trays, but I passed. I'm just showing you guys this stuff till we get to the stuff where I lost my mind. And then I found this cute little copper mug that was a candle. I didn't get it, but it was so pretty. And then they had a whole array of candles, older ones, and they were all in the fall colors. And I did get a couple of them because I like old candles because they burn forever. They're not like the new, cheaper candles you get at Hobby Lobby. Those things burn down in no time. And I could see these being used in the fall. A real pretty rust color, almost brown, and then a gold. I think I bought like 4. And then these had been 49 cents at Pier 1 Imports, and they were only 99 cents. And then I thought these were pretty, just a bunch of candles made in these pretty glasses. Then I saw these glasses that are over 100 years old because I have a whole set of these that were my grandma's. I've picked up some extra ones at the thrift stores a few times, so I have several. I wanted to get these, but I have several, so I left them. But it was hard to leave them because they are so old and they're so beautiful and vintage looking, but I've got plenty. And then I saw this book, which when I was 10 or 12 years old, I would have wanted. David Cassidy. I loved him when I was young and had him hanging all over my wall. And I've got some good stories to tell you about my David Cassidy collection when I was little. It's kind of silly, but you might enjoy it someday. And then I'm glad I saw this, "Thou shalt not steal," on the side of a crock. So it kept me from stealing while I was in the store. I don't know what this was all about, but it was a crock. And on the opposite side, it was just white with a blue band, which looked a lot better than "Thou shalt not steal." But I guess somebody has those sitting in their house somewhere saying that. Maybe it's a good thing to have sitting around. There's some mowing going on around us, so you might hear the mower. Then Aunt Kathy's kitchen. Of course, Aunt Kathy didn't have all of this stuff in her kitchen, but all of this stuff reminds me of things she had from time to time. She was really into avocado green. She had a lot of these plastic Melamac dishes, I think they called them. She had a lot of avocado green glassware. Everything in her house was avocado green. We teased her about it till the day she died. She even had I think I might have told you this before, she had a jacket made out of avocado green plaid dish towels. Her and my mom made jackets out of dish towels at one point. And all of this stuff would have been right at home in her house. And we had some of it too, but Aunt Kathy had a lot of it. Now, I think I've told you before that when I was young, I liked these little snack trays. I thought they were great. My mom and her friend had a set apiece of 4 snack trays and 4 little cups that went with them for parties, for showers, for weddings. They would put their set together and let people borrow them. And if you saw these trays come out, you knew you were getting some cake and punch and some nuts and mints on the side. There are so many of these, so many different designs and patterns, and I've collected some that I really like, and I have some. And then I take pictures of them when I see them out just to see what all the different patterns are. Every now and then I amaze myself at how many patterns there are. This is an apple, and that other one was just a swirl design, and then this one's round. And I don't know, it's just the nostalgia, from being a little girl and thinking these snack trays were so clever with the little indentation for your cup and how you had your whole little thing right there on the tray. And it was just really cool. And so that's what it is. It's just a memory thing for me, and I have to watch myself that I don't go crazy trying to buy all this stuff. So these little snack trays are all about nostalgia for me, and I love them. So I've always collected, I have my mom's set of the grape pattern, which is a clear glass grape pattern. And when I was a little girl, they came in boxes with purple dots on the side of the box, and Mom kept them up in the closet. And whenever she pulled them out, I knew we were going to have a party or a shower, or somebody was going to have one. And my mom's friend would get hers out, and they would donate them to whoever needed them or loan them. And I just thought it was great. Well, I'm in the thrift store the other day, and I found not only the plates, but I found a box. Look at this box, guys. This was the box that my mom had and pulled out when her and her friend loaned them out to people, or we had a party. And I had seen it online before, but I hadn't seen one in person for a long time. I had a few of my mom's plates, but I didn't have the box. Then I saw another 2 boxes of them. There was 3 boxes of these plates with the purple dots on them, on the box. And the memories just flooded back. I could just see our dining room all decorated up for a party and how beautiful everything was, and the cake, and it was just wonderful to have that feeling. And I just touched those boxes and enjoyed that for a moment. So I got to thinking about my plates and how I really needed to quit collecting them. And I had given my set to our community center so they can use them for parties, and I can borrow them anytime I need them. And I've never needed them, but they're there if I do need them. And I just had this moment. It was just wonderful. So as I'm looking through the boxes and everything, I thought, I need to get out all my collection and take pictures and show you guys. And this is some of the boxes still I'm looking at, and they had tape over them, and so no one could get in them. But I thought, I wonder if the people who donated these had the same memories that I had of my mom and her friend Virginia having these showers and wedding parties and such. So I was really enjoying it. And every single time you go down an aisle at Goodwill, you're going to find punch bowls, of course. We've talked about that before. You're going to find these plates because nobody else wants them but me, I guess. There's only one collector on the internet that I can find. And they're always going to have the little cups that go with it. And here's some examples of the little cups that you can get that go on with the different punch bowls. And one time, I have some of these that are the thicker, crystal-like, cut glass-like ones. I don't think they are cut glass, but I decorated a Christmas tree one time with about probably 50 or 60 of them and turned the lights on, and it just looked like a glass tree. It was so beautiful. And I have several of these heavier ones that I pick up at the thrift store. Sometimes they put them in the free bin. Nobody wants them. And I use them in my sugar and in my flour and brown sugar sometimes. When I clean out sometimes you have to clean the little cups that are in your canisters, and I'll grab one of these, and they're real nice to use for scoops, and they're just so free. I get them all the time, and I've got a cabinet full of them, and I love them. And here's some more examples of how beautiful they are. You can find every pattern there is. And I dare you to go in a Goodwill or a thrift store and not find some. You're going to find some, just like a punch bowl. So enough about all of that. But I'm in this store, and I'm really feeling the memories, and I love them no matter how many I have. I still love them. When I see one, I pick them up and look them over, and I can't wait to take them home and clean them. Well, on the bottom shelf of this thrift store, of course, they still had a lot of punch bowl sets, and I thought, man, if I had the room, like if I was a caterer or something and I had big cabinets where I could put all these collections, I would collect punch bowls and punch bowls cups. I just would. It's just a nostalgic thing for me. But of course we can't do that. So I'm going down the aisle and I'm talking to some girl about the dishes that are in my cart, and she ended up being a student of my husband's, and she screamed when she saw my husband, and they were hugging, and another girl was talking to him about him being her teacher, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, Mr. Johnson, and that's your husband?" And so I turned the corner and there's this punch bowl I had never seen before in my life. It was up on a pedestal and I had to really look it over, and looked it up, and it's called the Federal Eagle. There's different names for it, but it has an eagle on it. It has a star. It's very 1776 era looking, but of course it was made later. It was probably made in the 60s or 70s. And this pedestal that's on the bottom that holds it up, you can turn it over and use it for a snack bowl or a party, nuts and mints and stuff. Or you can put the punch bowl on top of it. It's really, really beautiful. And I can't believe in all the years I've thrifted that I haven't seen this punch bowl. But I looked it up, and they were selling anywhere between $25 and, $150 on eBay and Mercari and different things. And I was just kind of enjoying my little trip down this aisle and seeing all these punch bowls. And I heard them talking in the next aisle about school and everything, and I went over there and talked to them a little bit, and this girl got into the conversation with me about punch bowls, and she felt the same way. She said, "Yeah, that's just a bygone era. People just don't use this stuff anymore." So I'm showing you a lot of pictures of it because I'm getting ready to tell you how bad I was at that thrift store. I didn't buy anything until I turned down the corner and saw what was coming up. When I was a little girl, my mom had a milk glass candy dish with grapes on it. And I've never been into milk glass. I have a friend that collects it. And I know some people who like it, and I just never, it's not that I don't like it, it's just I don't need to collect another thing, And Mom had this candy dish. My Aunt Susie had this candy dish. Our neighbor had it. A lot of people had it. I babysat for some people who had it. So that's really the only milk glass I was ever around, and I see it in antique stores a lot. We've long lost my mom's, and I've never bought one. And I just thought milk glass was kind of plain and boring, and I just didn't do it. I bought it for my friend every now and then, but I just didn't go down the milk glass collection aisle. I turned the corner after seeing all the punch bowls and punch cups, and I saw this whole shelf full of milk glass snack set trays. It was full. There was a ton of them. And I thought, boy, those are cute. And if I had the room, I would buy some of those and have those in my snack tray collection. But I kind of walked on past. Then I went back and I picked one up, and I thought they're probably $2 or $3 a piece. I turned it over, and they were 50 cents a piece. Guys, they were 50 cents a piece. I couldn't believe it. And I thought, well, buy 4 of them and then try to find 4 cups, and you'll have another pattern in your set. And it's my grape set, only it's in milk glass instead of clear glass. And on the bottoms of some of these, they had black tape, and it looked like a name, and I couldn't make out the name, but somebody had marked them, so they knew whose were whose. And there was a bunch of them. So I put 8 of them in my cart. And then I remembered that back at the 50% aisle a while back, the yellow stickers, I had seen some milk glass, so I went flying back there, and there were the cups. And they had plenty of one cup, but only 2 of another. So, guys, I fell off the wagon totally. I got 2 of the fancier cups, the taller, fancier, more fluted ones. I got the 4 little regular coffee cups, and then I looked at the whole store over for all the different milk glass that they had, and I found a vase, and I found some goblets. And guys, the whole time I was thinking about you, thinking, they're going to call me a big old fat liar because I said I was going to quit doing this. And where am I going to put this stuff? And why are you doing this? What is wrong with you? I don't know, guys. I need therapy. So I put the little coffee cup ones on the plates, and they matched perfect. They've even got the little grapes on them. I don't know if they're together or not, but they were. And they were all half off, all the cups. And then I put the little fluted cup that had the little pedestal under it, and it was actually the prettiest one, but they only had 2. And they had 4 of the regular coffee cups. So I thought, well, I like them both, so they're only 50 cents, so go ahead and buy them. But then I looked at these cups, the little ones on the pedestals, and they were $5. And I thought, gosh, I don't want to give $2.50 a piece for them, but I put them in my cart. I thought, you're not paying very much for this whole set because the plates were 50 cents. You're crazy. Just go ahead and go crazy and get them. And then see what's lurking in the background there. Some pedestal cups. And I pulled those out, and they were $2 a piece, so they would have been $1, but they only had 3 of them. And that's no big deal, because when I'm in the thrift stores, I see these all the time, and I will find those in a matter of weeks. I will have the whole set of 8. I'll have them. So I got the 3 pedestal tall goblets, the 2 little pedestal cups, and then 4 of the little regular coffee looking cups. And they all had the grape pattern, and they all matched the dishes just fine. So I get to looking, and then I found kind of a big vase. And the vase, I think it was $4 or $8. I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but it was all milk glass, and it was all pretty, and it was all mine. Nobody else was looking at this stuff. So I went ahead and got the vase, and when I got up front, it was half off too. I didn't even realize, I don't think, that the yellow tag was half off. I was just kind of in a fog, thinking, you don't need this stuff. What are you doing? What are you doing? That's what I kept thinking. And my husband comes over after he talks to these girls he taught in school. And I said, don't get mad, but I think I'm going to get these. And he goes, oh, those are pretty. He said, oh, yeah, you'll love those. He's my enabler, you know. And then I found 4 more of these cups that were hooked together, but I only found 2 of this cup. So I figured up when I got home, I think altogether I have $15 or less in all of these. Now, the little cups that were $5, when I took them up to the cash register and she saw how cheap everything else was, she said, oh, this is too expensive for these cups. They're not $5 a piece. I'm going to give them to you for 50 cents a piece. So the best I could figure, I have $15 in this mess. And later on, I'm going to show you my tables. If you don't want to see the tables, skip past it. But later on, I'm going to show you the tablescapes that I made with these dishes and how I'm trying to figure out why the heck I'm the way I am. So the grape pattern is my favorite. And they also had this round tray, and it was 50 cents. So I bought it too. And it matches, even though I don't think it's part of the set. And I had a trunk full of milk glass on my way home. So you guys got to let me know if there's a group that can help me get over this fascination with snack sets because I need it. So as I'm looking around that store, I found this crock, kind of like a utensil holder, and it was real pretty. It looked black, but when I got it home, I think it was more navy blue. It's really hard to tell. Sometimes it looks black and sometimes it looks navy blue. But I looked on the bottom of it, and it had a Stoneware Pottery Company name on it, and it was only $3.50, and it was yellow tag, so it was half off. So I did get it because it doesn't take up much room. It's only about 3 inches wide, and it's real tall, and I thought it would be perfect to put knives in. And I found one on the internet while I was in the store, and they were running about $15 used. So as I'm walking out towards the register with all my milk glass, look what I spotted down there on the bottom shelf. A beautiful Flow Blue plate, a big Flow Blue plate. Boy, this thing was a stunner. It had a little tiny brownish discoloration right in the middle, which was fine because this plate's probably 150 years old. I looked it up and I couldn't even find the pattern. It's really, really old. And I purchased it. It was $10, and I thought, that's okay. For Flow Blue, that would be $50 in a store. I brought it home, and I put my crock in front of it, and I put some knives in the crock, and I just kept looking at the beautiful pattern, and I looked at my receipt, and when I paid for it, it was a yellow tag, so it was half off, so it was only $5. So I'm not beating myself up over that one. I am kicking myself over all the milk glass, but look at the pretty little gold design on it. And for as old as this plate is, it's in really good shape. And the back had a nice stamp on it, and I was just loving the whole design. And you can't go wrong with Flow Blue for $5. You just can't. And then they had this pretty little refrigerator dish that I did not buy because I could just see me chipping the top every time I used it. But it had my fruit on it, and it was really pretty. And then I picked up this plate and really appreciated the beauty of it. It was a big plate, really old, with some roses and a beautiful edge. And it was half off, but I put it back. And then they had this big, I think it's Currier and Ives set, and I thought it said $15, but then when I took a picture of the price tag, it said $45, which I thought was high. Then they had 2 little Avon bottles that were very discolored, and I've seen these in the free bin before, but they wanted a lot for them, $10, and I think that that's crazy. But I was trying to take pictures for you guys to keep you entertained with my craziness at the thrift stores. And then I saw salt and pepper shakers. They still had a lot of those. Someone had donated a big tote just full of them. And they've gotten rid of most of the real pretty ones. And these are just the last of them. But they had them priced $5 and $10 a bag. And I thought it was a little silly because they're not worth that much. But they were different. And then they had this little plastic pear that kind of looked like corn. And I just wanted to show you guys that they price their stuff really high when it's silly stuff like salt and pepper shakers that are plastic and got cracks in them. And then here we go again with the letters on things. I'm sure glad they put sponge on there so I would know what to do with this little odd-shaped porcelain container. I guess it's a soap or sponge holder. And then this bowl that's coming up, it kind of surprised me. I took it as vintage when I saw it, and I turned it over and it wasn't vintage at all, and it was expensive because it wasn't in very good shape. And then they had little toothpick holders that I thought were beautiful. This one, being Victorian looking, would have been one I would pick up for my collection, but it was $11. And then they had this big beautiful plate, and I'm pretty sure it was $22, which is an antique store price. Not bad, but for a thrift store, too much. So I passed on it, but it sure was pretty. And then I saw this little tidbit tray. I watch a guy named Scott, and he has a show called The Old Curiosity Shop. You guys should watch him on YouTube. The Old Curiosity Shop. He's entertaining, and he does a lot of these kind of things. He likes the vintage Fostoria and tidbit trays and depression glass, and he's really funny and interesting. You'd like him. Scott at The Old Curiosity Shop. And then a autumn leaf was pretty. So I'm in the parking lot, and I see this little car that had decals on it, and I thought it was so cute. And then I noticed she had this, I'm assuming it's a girl, had this big key on the back of it, like you wind the car up and drive it. I'd never seen anything like that before, but my uncle makes decals, so I showed him the pictures and said, you could make decals for people's cars if they wanted decals on them. So I'm looking in my china cabinet, figuring out where I'm going to put everything the other day. And my little Easter tin that I bought last week, that was the little bunny tin, was upside down. And I thought, what the heck? And I went to pick it back up and set it up right. And I looked, and my little white rooster or chicken, he was laying on his side. And I thought, Brad was here the other day. He turns my stuff around and turns things upside down, and I don't notice it till 2 weeks after he leaves. But it was right. He had that little bunny turned around with its bottom facing me, and then right next to the bowl where all my what are they called? Scrabble tiles are. Look what he wrote. No more thrifting. He's always getting on me about it because he's always the one who has to help lug all the boxes in my house and help me figure out a place to put everything. And he tells me put magazines down and quit getting more ideas. And he's not my enabler. He doesn't like it. So I got a big kick out of that, and I turned everything up right and fixed everything. And then I started working on an arrangement in my white milk glass vase to do some tablescapes, and I put some white roses in the bowl, and then I took some of my dried roses and put in the bowl, and then I got my little basket that had all my milk glass trays in it, and I cleaned them all up, and I started with this tablecloth, which is actually a piece of fabric, and just started decorating up the table. Now, I didn't put silverware out because I changed this table several times and I didn't want to fool with silverware. Just wanted to give you an idea what the milk glass looked like against the different fabrics. This is just fabric, but as you know, I'm the kind I like to pick up fabric in forms of fabric, tablecloths, shower curtains, curtain panels, anything that'll fit my table and look pretty. I got this big milk glass looking bowl. It's actually ironstone, and this plate down from my china cabinet to show that you can, and crystal, you can mix all kinds of stuff with the milk glass. I can't believe I never went down this road before with milk glass, because milk glass goes with everything. I'm always trying to match my cranberry and my Flow Blue up with tablecloths and stuff. I can use any tablecloth with this stuff. So I set the table different ways and got out some of my Easter decorations. This is another tablecloth that is actually a tablecloth. I think this one actually is. It's got roses on it. And I don't think, I think you could say, well, I could do my Easter table with these milk glass pieces. And you might say, well, who's gonna want to use snack trays for Easter dinner? Well, I don't think most people are going to look at that table and say, oh, I'm not eating dinner here. They'll just sit down and eat because it's beautiful. I found that big egg at the thrift store the other day. It's a big mercury glass looking egg, and it matches those little Dollar Tree eggs that I got that also look like they're mercury glass, and they're really just plastic, but they looked really pretty together. The wind's really blowing, guys. And this tablecloth is actually a huge piece of fabric. It's black with roses on it. And I'm telling you what, of all the different setups I did here, I think I like the black with the roses better than anything for Easter. It turned out really pretty with the white and the crystal up against it. So I don't know which one I'm going to use for Easter. But I think instead of my red rooster dishes, I'm going to use the milk glass for Easter dinner. Yes, these snack trays with the indentation for the little cups, I'm going to use them for Easter because they're just beautiful up against everything. So this is the black fabric I really liked. I got out some more Easter decorations. I'm not like Jeffrey Kevin, who goes all out, but I did grab some of my ironstone and my gravy boats. And let's face it, you don't use all that stuff. I don't really use all the pitchers and all the things and all the fancy spoons and serving trays and stuff, but I sometimes do. And I got out my different goblets. I used my Longchamp goblets next to the milk glass goblets, but I have a lot of different kinds of stemware that I can use for water glasses, so I just kind of played around with it. But when I was a kid, my mom was the one that always broke out the tablecloth, the candle holders, the pretty dishes, the cloth napkins for every holiday, and just made a real special event out of it. Aunt Kathy, she always used her avocado green dishes, which were fine, or paper plates. Aunt Susie was all paper plates. So Mom tried to have most of the holiday dinners. And I just remember it being a special occasion. And think about it. When you get your whole family together, the people that you love or your friends, the dinner's only going to be about 20 minutes to an hour. That's the most time you're going to spend at that table with your family until the next holiday. Why not make it special? My mom always went the extra mile to make it special, so that's what I try to do as well. My boys probably don't appreciate it now, but they will someday, and they always sit down to a pretty table during any kind of holiday dinner, and I try to make everyday dinners kind of special for my husband and I just think it's important to do it every now and then. Now, this tablecloth is actually a curtain. You saw the little beads on the edge. It's a big curtain panel that I found at a thrift store, but it's beautiful, and it really looks pretty with the milk glass. And then this was that piece of, I can't remember the name of the company, kind of like Laura Ashley fabric that I found at the thrift store one day. It was beautiful, and I hemmed it up and made a tablecloth out of it. And then this is just a dish towel in the middle of the table. You don't have to use a tablecloth. My mom, she never worried about a tablecloth because she probably thrifted them or made them as well. But some people think, oh, they get stained. Well, it's just a special occasion. If they get stained, just wash them. And if they, if you ruin them, you ruin them. And then this is another, guys, I think this is a shower curtain. It's made out of fabric, but I'm pretty sure it's just a shower curtain that I picked up thrifted. But I hem them off and make them look like tablecloths. And who's really going to say, I'm not eating at Marcy's anymore because she's trying to pass off a shower curtain as a tablecloth. I don't think they're going to say that. Maybe they will. I don't know. Then this is that fabric that I got one time. It was like the raspberry colored toile. And it looked really pretty. Now, I didn't sit and iron all of these. If I had a dinner with this tablecloth, I would iron it. But it was just a 2-yard piece of fabric, and it fit my table really well. And I didn't get out my cranberry glasses, but after I took all these pictures, I thought, I bet my cranberry glasses would have looked really pretty. And, all the goblet sets that I have will go with these dishes. And I think when you take the cups off of the little trays, you don't even really notice the little indentation. You could use it as a plate for dinner. It'd be fine. So yeah, this is going to be my Easter table. One of these patterns is going to be underneath those pretty little dishes, and I'm going to really enjoy it. I even had my little lamp. It started getting dark. I did this so many times that it started getting dark, so I set the lamp back on the table. And this is a spring it's actually a curtain panel that I got years ago, and I use it every spring on my table. It's a real dark green with a real pretty pattern. So I threw it under them to see how it was going to look, and just tried the different colors of tablecloths underneath them, and discovered that I was crazy for not going the milk glass way a long time ago, because you can get milk glass all the time. So I hate to tell you guys this. I hope you're friendly enough with me that you'll forgive me for my lapse in lying to you, saying I wasn't going to buy anymore. And forgive me, because I'm going to be buying some more milk glass. I know I am. And this looks really pretty for winter time. Wouldn't that be pretty on a Christmas table? Yeah. My husband was watching TV while I was in there changing the table over and over and over. And I got my big cut glass crystal vase that I actually use. Guys, I use my stuff. And I put some flowers in it. And then I got out a crystal rose bowl and put it on the table. I was all over the place getting stuff from my mantle and bringing in, and try to imagine a big cake stand on one of these tables with a big beautiful cake on it. I'll have a big Easter cake on there for Easter. I'll show you. And I just had a lot of fun. I took one of my little vases and put some spoons and forks in it, and then just had a bunch of fun. It was raining out and cold, and I wasn't going anywhere, so I just did the table about 20 different ways. And then this is the scarf that I've been using for a tablecloth right down the middle of the table. It's plaid and kind of fuzzy, and it looked really pretty. It just all looked pretty, guys. I'm having so much fun. And then I think to myself, what is it about all this stuff that you love so much? You're a little bit on the crazy side with this stuff, but I could be doing a lot worse. We all could be doing a lot worse. And this was so cheap. It's a cheap bit of entertainment. And am I leaving a bunch of junk for my kids? Yes, but as I get older, I'll try to get rid of some of it. I promise. I've been giving away so much stuff that really was junk. And then I got rid of a lot of dishes, just odds and end things that I didn't like anymore. So I had room for all this stuff, and I'm sure having fun with it. So, as always, I hope you guys are enjoying this Easter season and the spring that's kind of here. Today it's kind of windy, but it's warm, and the sun did come out today. We had a lot of sunshine today. And as I was going through these pictures, I found that little tray there, the little white tray that I put the salt and peppers on. And then sometimes I use this little tarnished tray that's really tarnished, but it's so pretty on the table. And I put all these dishes away, and I did have a place for all the milk glass. I had a shelf on the bottom of a cabinet that was I got rid of so much stuff. I had room. So I went ahead and put all this stuff on there. So I have a shelf with all of these little milk glass pieces. And I will find the other ones to match, the taller cups and the taller pedestal cups. And I'll have enough for 4 to 6 people. I do have 8 plates because I went ahead and bought all 8. And they had lots more, but I couldn't take them all. Don't need that many. We don't have that many people for dinner. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. It was fun for me. I spent all afternoon doing this while I was cooking dinner, and my kitchen was a mess. I should have taken a picture of my kitchen counter and all the milk glass and the crystal and the flowers, and napkins and tablecloths. I had tablecloths piled up real high, going through all of them, putting them on the table, and wiping off everything and trying to make sure there wasn't any spots on stuff. The milk glass, one of them had a little, it looked like a magic marker stain on it, and I couldn't get it off. But I think of all the tablecloths, this one's my favorite, the black with the roses. It's just my favorite, even though it's black. And I want you guys to tell me what you think. Don't compare me with Jeffrey Kevin and his gorgeous tablescapes, because his are just outlandishly beautiful. But I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Please like and subscribe. I'm getting so close to 2,000 people. I need more likes and subscribes. So just subscribe. You don't ever have to watch me again. But it would help my channel grow so much, because I love being on here and I love being with you guys. And I hope you enjoyed this long video. Love you.